This is segment 4, chapter 3, my YouTube outline. To begin my presentation, we're going to start talking a little bit about receptor molecules. Receptor molecules, think of it like a key in a lock. It's a good analogy for the action of a transmitter and a receptor protein. And these certain receptor proteins are called ligands, which is the substance that binds to receptor molecules, such as those at the surface of the cell. And all of these receptor molecules are located in the postsynaptic membrane. The neurotransmitters and hormones made inside the body are examples of endogenous ligands, and drugs and toxins from the outside the body are known as exogenous ligands. Agonists are molecules, usually a drug, that binds to a receptor and initiates a response like that of another molecule, usually a neurotransmitter. An antagonist is another molecule, usually a drug as well, but this one interferes with or prevents an action of a transmitter. This is something called a ligand gating ion channel, also known as a chemically gated ion channel. It's an ion channel that opens and closes in response to the presence of a particular chemical. And G proteins are a class of proteins that reside next to the intercellular portion of a receptor that are activated when the receptor binds to an appropriate ligand on the extracellular surface. Now let's move on to the action of synaptic transmitters is stopped rapidly. The prompt cessation of a transmitter effects is achieved in one of two ways. Degradation, which is when the transmitter can rapidly be broken down and thus inactivated by a special enzyme. An example of this is an enzyme that indicates ACH is acetylcholine esterase. The reuptake is when transmitter molecules may be rapidly cleared from the synaptic cleft by being taken up into the presynaptic terminal. Norepinephrine, serotonin, and dopamine are examples of these transmitters, whose activity is terminated mainly by reuptake. And then let's move on to neurons and synapses and how they combine to make circuits. Neurons experience signals that vary in strength. An example of that is a greater potential at a synapse, and those that vary in frequency, known as all or none signals. An example of that is action potentials. The simplest neural circuit in the nervous system is a neural chain, in which neurons are attached linearly end to end. The knee-jerk reflex is a basic circuit for stretch reflex, in which stretching the tendon above the knee causes an upward kick of the leg. This consists of a sensory neuron, a motor neuron, and a single synapse that allows for communication between the two. It's extremely fast, probably about 40 milliseconds, and there's three factors that cause this rapidity. One, the sensory and motor neurons involved are both myelinated and of a large diameter to maximize conduction speed. Two, the sensory cells synapse directly onto the motor neurons. And three, the central synapse and the neuromuscular junction are fast and iontrophic. Many neural circuits also experience convergence and divergence. Convergence is when many cells send signals to a single cell. Example is in the human eye, about 100 million receptor cells concentrate their information onto 1 million axons that carry visual information from the eye to the brain. And divergence. One cell sends signals to many cells. An example of that is a million axons of the optic nerve communicate to billions of other neurons in several specialized regions of the cerebral cortex. There are 4 different kinds of seizure disorders that result from electrical storms in the brain. First, tonic-clonic seizures. It's when nerve cells fire in high-frequency bursts, creating abnormal activity in an EEG. You get a loss of consciousness, and the characteristic movements focus on tonic contraction of the muscles for 1 to 2 minutes, followed by jerky, rhythmic clonic contractions and relaxations. After the seizure, minutes to hours of confusion and sleep can occur. Next are simple partial seizures. Spike and wave EEG. The loss of environmental awareness during the episode and the inability to recall events surrounding the seizure. The complex partial seizures doesn't involve the entire brain, which can cause a wide variety of symptoms. Often preceded by an unusual sensation, example of that is tingling in your hands. It can also be provoked as an environmental stimuli. And that concludes my presentation.